Hello everyone, this is part 37 of What If Naruto Had a Hug That Changed Everything, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Final night of the week. Rasengan, Naruto roared as he rammed his arm into a tree wielding the famous ball of power in hand. Although he has admittedly made a bit of headway, the blonde also knew that he was lagging behind, and it was pissing him the F off. He had been training for nearly the whole time limit of the bet and he still hasn't come that much closer to mastering the Rasengan within the week. Damn it, I have to try harder, Naruto shouted before forming the attack again, Rasengan. On and on and on. Naruto was hell-bent on proving the old Tsunade wrong. The things that she had said about him and the Hokage's legacy were far too degrading to be let go without a fight, although he was told a rather sad story about her hellish past from Shizune. He would master the Rasengan, rub it in the bee's face, prove her wrong and laugh triumphantly. Simple, right? No, that's not good enough. If I don't get this down, I'll never forgive myself. I have to do this, Naruto declared before forming another attack, Rasengan. Before Naruto could even finish that last syllable, his arm sudden jerked one massive tremble, thus cancelling out the Rasengan. What the hell? Naruto questioned as he stared at his hand. For a reason that he just couldn't understand, his hand started to shake like a leaf. He attempted to focus chakra into it to quell the trembling, but something inside of him was holding him back. He was sure of it and it was starting to worry him. Suddenly, Naruto felt the trembling travel up his forearm. Within seconds his entire right arm was shaking uncontrollably. The moment that he grabbed it with his other arm, that too began to tremble. In time, Naruto realized that it was suddenly freezing despite the perfect nighttime temperature. "See cold. So cold," the shaking blonde said through his quaking trembles. His entire body was now a trembling heap of F. He felt as though he were being choked in every possible way and his heart rate was erratic. Naruto used every ounce of sense that he had left to withdraw a kunai from his leg holster. Without hesitation he espied the blade into the soft spot of his shoulder. Letting out a grunt of pain, the blue-eyed Jinchuriki stopped his trembling before hearing the oh-so-faintest rustle from behind him. Thanks to his remarkable hearing, he caught this almost immediately and turned a 180 to face his stalker. "Who's there?" Naruto demanded as he was now certain that he was not alone. When his sight caught nothing behind him like he anticipated, he tilted his head in confusion, that is until he heard the sound of a massive figure hurling through the air behind him. His eyes widened immensely before lunging out of the way, avoiding a powerful fist which slammed straight into the ground. Naruto flipped back to his feet and faced his attacker in a hardened fighting stance, but not before he was hit with a powerful and familiar feeling. Damn! The hulking figure gurgled with a voice that rumbled its way into Naruto's memory. I missed. Naruto's eyes widened at the unbelievable familiar feeling that he was being assaulted by, this feeling. What is it? He thought to himself. Before he knew it, the blonde's trembling returned to him as he gandered upon the lone red-coated figure. The man slowly rose to his feet, thus rending his fist out of the ground. "Naruto-kun, we meet at last," he said with a dark and haunting grin. Carter City Bar Stand. Jiraiya and Tsunade were sitting down at the stand enjoying a drink together for the second time that week. Ever since Jiraiya's words on their first meeting, Tsunade had been a little shaken of her ideals of the Hokage, as she so graciously put it. To her dismay, that man still had that persuasive aura to him even after all of these years. What shocked her the most was the fact that she was about to divulge some pretty sensitive information. "Jiraiya," Tsunade said in nothing short of a timid whisper. "Well, lo and behold, she can talk," the white-haired toad sage said, gaining a reluctant smile from his fellow Sannin. In a split second, however, the situation became very serious again. "Jiraiya, listen, I know of that dreadful storm we had not long ago. I know that, he's back," Tsunade informed. I was well aware that you already knew. It's kinda hard to miss something like that," Jiraiya concurred. "Orochimaru. Let me guess. He's beckoned you for help." Tsunade whipped her eyes to her former teammate's direction. How did you know that? She said calmly in an attempt to hide her blatant surprise. Oh come on, Tsunade. It's a little obvious, don't you think? Even beasts know battle they can't win on their own. Orochimaru is no exception. But, Jiraiya trailed off. But, the mountain sage sipped a bit of his sake before continuing, but I'm a little concerned. You usually don't give in to dubious offers like this. If memory serves, you were a lot more stubborn than that. Or has my old age gotten the better of me, he said. Tsunade looked down at the table. I don't know what kind of deal he offered you, but I guess I can't complain. He's made a wise choice. A moment of silence fell over the two before Tsunade decided to break it. So, how goes the brat's training? She asked out of the blue. Jiraiya smiled. Oh, what's this? Has someone developed a soft spot for the little numbskull, or am I just crazy? He said. As much as I want to answer that, I just want to know how badly he's destroying his arm for nothing. Even you said that he couldn't possibly master that technique in a week, so let's hear it. At first Jiraiya was silent, giving Tsunade the impression that Naruto hadn't been able to do s. But just as she was about to say something smart, her former partner spoke. What if I told you that he mastered it yesterday? What? The aged blonde exclaimed. Ha, gotcha, Jiraiya pointed, gaining an oh-so-familiar glare from Tsunade. Same old fool. Breaking the ice with his idiocy. Back with Naruto. The shaking blonde standing off against the monstrous man glaring at him with ravenous eyes was starting to lose his cool. For 10 whole Naruto had to endure the man's unblinking red eyes until he finally snapped. That tears it. Tell me who you are right now, or I'll tear you a new one with your own fingernails, Naruto threatened through a flight or fight response to the strangely frightening situation. Since you're so desperate to know, I'll tell you, the red-haired man growled in a low tone. My name is Kuro Karatsune. I am a devil. Though Naruto kept his fighting stance strong, his face brightened with fearful integument. What? A devil? He questioned. Kuro crossed his hulking arms. That's right, my boy. Or at least, that's what I've been deemed as by the people of this planet anyway. I've been looking forward to finally meeting you, Naruto-kun. Greetings, he said with a polite bow. At that moment, Naruto was bombarded with question after question after question. But not before he noticed something a little familiar. Wait a second, that coat. It's identical to the ones that those two freaks wore, he deduced. Kuro's face brightened. I hope that Nekoshi and Kitsune didn't play too rough. My students can really get carried away at times, he said. Wait, students. So then, you're the guy who sent him after me, Naruto yelled before G-sping tightly upon the kunai that was still in hand. What the hell is your problem? Why are you coming after me? The red-coated bloodsucker adjusted the shackles on his wrist before marching up to the boy. Naruto-kun, you're a very special child. You have gifts that hardly anyone will bother to look for. Gifts that the people around you choose to ignore. One of them is your observation SKS. HMHMHMHMHMHM. Perfect example is the look on your face. If only I had a mirror, he teased. If you're lost right now, then take into consideration that Naruto's face was blown up with shock and revelation. It finally hit him. Karatsune. Wait, the mission, the forest, the girl. What's going on here? What do you know of Ashima Karatsune? Naruto questioned. At this, Kuro's face lightly cringed with disgusted before he stopped in front of Naruto. HMMMRRR. Don't mention that despicable name in my presence. But if you must know, that traitorous little witch was my daughter, he revealed. At this, Naruto almost fell back on his ass in shock. Why your daughter, he shouted. Yes boy, my daughter. Her gift of observation and tactical genius was especially annoying, however impressive it was. It was her own fault that she SD in the first place, Kuro spat out with disdain. Naruto's arm twitched. What? If only she had just listened to her loving father and left him to his own business, she wouldn't be worm's meat right now. What? And now, because of her treachery, she had forced me to take drastic measures. Poor deluded fool. It sickens me to this day that the child had such a flimsy will to obey me, but she's essence out of my bloody red locks. HMHMHMHMHMHMHM. Naruto couldn't take it anymore. Why you sick? Bastard, he roared. Kuro lifted an eyebrow at this. How could you? Your own kin. Your own effing blood. How could you kill your own daughter? HMMMHMHMHMHMHMHMHMM. Are you angry at me, Naruto-kun? Do you hate me for what I did? HN. Well, it doesn't stop there, my boy. For you see, it was I who issued your execution, the red-haired fiend further revealed. Naruto's rage subsided somewhat when he heard this. Wait, what? He said. Kuro slightly looked away. Well, actually you weren't supposed to but yes. I was the brains behind that one. My wonderful students were the triggermen, he said. With that last bit revealed to Naruto, the blonde could easily feel a certain rage well up deep within him. At first, it was rather faint, but then it grew and grew. He closed his eyes and lowered his head. You. Yes. Quote. You're the one who did it, aren't you? Whatever could you mean? Naruto whipped his head back up with his now crimson eyes flashing with rage and hate. You're the bastard that put Yoshuna-san in the hospital. The village, the people, it was all because of you, he roared as powerful red chakra emanated from his being. Yosha, what now? Kuro questioned before seeing Naruto drop to all fours, who in the flying hell are talking abo. Oh. That. Well, what more can I say? The people there looked exquisitely delicious, especially Yoshuna. HMHMHMHMHMHM. Huma ha 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 ha. Gra ha 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 ha. Ha ha. NYAAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHFa ha 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 ha. WUAAAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHAHThat was the last straw. NRRAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAA his evil opposer. With claws readied and cur intent at an all-time high, the rageful blonde would quell the breathing of the monster who threatens the lives of those precious to him. Konoha. Sakura was viciously slammed against a wooden fence, letting out a strong and excited grunt. Without letting her recover from her impact, an equally heated Ino pressed herself hard against the pink-haired female and immediately attacked her lips with a ravenous kiss. Allowing the heat to take her without hesitation, Sakura took Ino's head into her grasp and returned the ravenous kiss with several breathless groans. Ino briefly pulled back to utter a few words before returning to her feast. What a week, she huffed. The pink-haired kunoichi smiled through the heated kiss and merely groaned again as a response. Something, however, interrupted their little moment, a thud from around the corner of the fence. Quickly alarmed to this sound, both female parted lips and snapped their heads to the direction of the sound's origins. They shot quick glaces to each other before focusing their attention on their interruption. As they slowly and carefully peeked around the corner, to their surprise, a young red-headed girl no older than 12 was on the ground, back first, with dried wounds and scars all over her body. Both Sakura and Ino gasped at this sight. Hey! Sakura yelled before dashing to the girl's aid. Are you alright? Ino shouted as well before following Sakura's actions. Both genin knelt to the poor girl's side and shook her to wake her up. The reaction they received was not what they particularly expected. The redhead screamed a shrill scream, shot from her spot and ended up roughly 2 feet from where she was, curled up in a defensive ball. No, don't eat me, she shrieked. Hey, calm down. You're safe, Ino said comfortingly yet strongly. Yes, no one's going to hurt you, Sakura concurred. Even though her state of shock was short-lived, the redhead girl was still in tears. In time, though, she slowly regained herself and took in her surrounding. Her fatigue from a long travel and tragic experience got into her. With the memories of those horrid events flooding back into her mind, the poor girl's tears poured more fiercely before she began to sob. She wished it was all just a bad dream. But reality is never that kind. They're all gone. She wailed. Upon the rushing river of the unopened field, Nekoshi and Kitsune were idly walking atop the water conversing about certain things to pass the time, and it seemed to be working rather fine with the subject that they picked. I'm telling Nekoshi, Virgil is so possessing Kitsune said with conviction. No, it has to be Spada. Sure, you see Virgil using the Yamato blade in the last installment, But you gotta remember that it was his father who gave him the damn thing in the first. He gave Dante the rebellion, 'cause he hated the little s, Nekoshi insisted. Well, even if you do make some valid points about that, I'll stick with the fact that it's Virgil. I mean, come on, give me more power. Who other than Virgil's sick twisted power-hungry ass would talk like that? Well, definitely not Nero. That guy's AL. Back with Naruto, again. The now jacketless, red-hot blonde was wildly charging at Kuro like a lion, executing multiple slashes, punches and kicks that tore through the air as he tried to rend the devil to pieces. Kuro's agility and mind-bending maneuverability, however, prevented any of that from actually happening. The monster's movement was sleek, defined and well-sharpened. Every attack was dodged in near-perfect succession as he flipped, rolled, strafed and slid out of harm's way. All with a smile on his face and his hands behind his back, all gentleman-like. Though Naruto's aim was bang on, he was simply unable to lay even a finger on his enemy despite his rather impressive efforts. Every flashy dodge that he was avoided by was met with an equally flashing counterattack, anywhere from spinning punches to lunging leg sweeps. All of that, and yet he was still unable to catch Kuro. Oh come on, Naruto-kun. If that's all you've got, then you may as well listen to what I have to say before you get hurt, the black-hearted fiend suggested as he effortlessly avoided Naruto's confusing and unpredictable attacks. Shut you, the fural Naruto howled as he increased his already intense efforts. I don't want to hear another word out of your goddamn mouth. Kuro spin on his heel to timingly avoid a swift punch aimed for his face before lifting his knee to block an instant follow-up roundhouse kick. The cretin allowed the force of the colossal blow to send him hurtling a few feet away from his attacker. With his hands remaining behind his back, Kuro smirked proudly. My, you're quite a strong one for your age, aren't you, Naruto-kun? And you certainly do talk big for such a small creature. I'd like to see if you can still talk so big after I've whipped out all of those of whom you hold dear. That would definitely get you all the lass, he mocked cruelly. Hearing a direct threat involving those precious to him not only sent a stream of images through his head, but it also caused his heart to quibble with hatred at what he had done to Yoshuna. How dare you? How dare you? Naruto roared before his form completely vanished. Though Kuro could not see the boy, his smile remained unfaltering in the least. Suddenly, a fist swift tore through the air and flew into his face at bullet speed, or at least it would have, had the red-coated devil not caught it with unnatural ease. Shortly after that, Kuro used that same hand to snatch Naruto by the collar of his jacket, keeping his rageful red eyes level with his heartless red eyes, although his dangling feet were about level with the top of Kuro's kneecaps. How dare I, what, Naruto-kun? Surely you're not about to tell me that I've offended you in some spectacular way. Oh my, I am so sorry. There must be some way I can make it up to you. Come on, name it, Kuro mocked on uncaringly. Naruto clinched his teeth together. Damn you, he shouted. Kuro's eyes brightened. Aha. I've an idea. Since you're here, why don't I offer you a fabulous gift, he said before pulling the hand that was still behind his back from behind him. Balling that hand into a fist, the merciless devil swiftly punched Naruto in the diaphragm, sending him flying through the air with his feet barely above the ground. With relative ease, Naruto stopped himself and scoffed as he kept his intent coming. You call that a punch? You'd better do better than that if you wanna walk away from this, the blonde threatened wildly. By the time Naruto realized it, he noticed that Kuro was twisting his pinky finger into his ear before pulling it out and looking at the wax, cringing at the sight afterwards. What? A punch? Silly little fox, that was a love tap. Now this, Kuro started before he balled up his fist, thus crackling it, is a punch. With a display of inhuman speed and timing, the ample fighting monster threw a punch from right where he stood. The catch was that when his fist reached the point where it would have connected to Naruto's face, he was already within punching range, delivering a direct blow to the center of the blonde's face. That display of unprecedented prowess sent Naruto, not hurdling, not gliding, not zipping, but literally flying away, sing through several upon several rocks and trees. After roughly 10 seconds of that abominable hell, Naruto crashed back first into a very large boulder, leaving a nearly perfect indent into it. The recoil of it all slightly ricocheted the stunned boy off of the massive stone before he plummeted to the ground. Before he crashed into it, Naruto flipped over to regain his body's balance, thus landing on his feet, just before crumbling to his knees. Naruto's eyes, as fierce and demonic as they looked, were dimmed out and spacey as he struggled horrendously to retain consciousness. Not only could he not form thoughts properly, but he could no longer feel his arms or legs. With his struggle for consciousness lost, the black-clad genin fell into darkness and collapsed upon the ground. Seconds pass by. Naruto's eyes shoot open as something within himself snapped him out of his forced sleep. He shot to his feet and stumbled as he tried to keep his balance. His eyes were still slightly dimmed out as he tried to register all that just happened. Just then, his eyes trailed down and noticed a pair of large gray boots, and his ears picked up a hauntingly familiar voice. "Welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed your TS," the inhumanely gruff-toned voice mocked. Naruto shot his now widened eyes upward only to see that the man who owned it was gone. Forcing himself to regain his senses, the fural blonde whipped his eyes to his left and noticed that Kuro was crouching next to him. He immediately threw a swift punch but was thwarted with a painful reminder that he was dealing with no Emetua. Kuro quickly tilted his head back and reacted with unchallenged speed by clamping his power jaw onto Naruto's wrist, sinking his razor-sharp fangs into his effing joints. "Gah!" The blonde howled in agony. Wasting no time, Kuro quickly whipped his head to the side and flung Naruto's body into the stone behind them with his wrist still in his jaw. The relentless beast repeated this action on the opposite side before flipping over and taking it on home with a slam to the ground. Letting out another lament of anguish, Naruto could have sworn that he felt his bones rattle and crack at the impact. Kuro released his death GS upon Naruto's wrist. "Get up, warrior," he roared before slapping his grip upon his face and hoisting him off of the ground. After a series of dizzying flips, Naruto landed on his feet but was forced into a crouching position due to the shock and the recoil. The hulking devil put his hands behind his back again as he looked down at the disoriented blonde. "Stand up," Kuro hollered with a voice of such will-cracking authority that Naruto unwittingly shot to his feet as he prepped a fighting stance at the same time. Kuro smirked again. HMHMHMHMHMHMHMM. "You must really think you can do anything right now, don't you?" he growled before he sent a lightning quick backhand careening into the side of Naruto's face. "Well, how about now, Still think you've got the balls to take on the destruction incarnate?" The blonde's only response was his knee giving out on him because of the sudden attack. He knelt before Kuro, dazzled of his senses again. "That's right, you little fool. Kneel before the mightiness that overshadows you inferior life," Kuro growled before his own knee crashed into Naruto's chin. "As of today, your days as a lowly genin are over, boy. This is your passage to being a real man. Take it all and grow." The fiend then swiftly kicked the defenseless boy in the stomach, lifting him into the air. With an intent to finish what he started, Kuro lifted that same leg high into the air, stretching it out completely. He roared a terrible roar before cruelly executing a devastating heel drop upon the back of Naruto's head, not only sending him back into the ground, but rattling his spinal column as well. He could no longer move, but Kuro was far from finished. The merciless monster grappled onto Naruto's head and lifted him into the air again, only this time to see the look on his face. To his surprises, Naruto was neither unconscious nor had a pain-stricken facial expression. Instead, he cracked his eyes open and plastered the most hateful and hopelessly defiant scowl that he had ever mustered in his life. Unbeknownst to even Naruto himself, he was literally crying blood thanks to the heel drop he received. Feeling more bold and defiant than ever before, the battered blonde spit blood in Kuro's face. The red liquid hit Kuro's right cheek, but instead of loosing it like anyone else would, he lapped it up and grinned with sinister intent. "That's right, Naruto-kun, struggle until you break. I will enjoy watching and making you suffer until I reshape you into the man that you were destined to be," the red-haired villain stated with a glowing red flash in his dark eyes. Without mercy or any regard for comfort whatsoever, Kuro launched his unnecessarily powerful punch into Naruto's stomach, expelling a choked scream and an ejection of blood from his mouth. Slowly, very tortuously and very slowly, Kuro removed his fist from his victim's gut and watched as his eyes changed from hateful blazing red back to empty and lifeless blue. The devilish fiend lifted two of his fingers to the downed blonde's eyelids. "Very soon, Naruto-kun, I will enlighten you and this entire planet to the truth," Kuro gurgled before he slowly shut Naruto's eyelids. The red-coated man noticed the absolute faintest of disturbances from behind him and he steadily turned his head to the side to see. After a few moments of scaling the forested behind him, Kuro turned his head back to Naruto only to have a high-heeled sandal collide into his face and crush that side of his entire skull. The foot twisted and dug into its target for extra reassurance before the monster was sent tumbling away. But out of natural reflex to him, Kuro immediately flipped to his feet and skidded to a perfect stop in one foul swoop, his head lowered. After a few seconds, he lifted his head and saw one of the last people he'd expect to see at a time like this. Well, if it isn't Tsunade-chan's little bee in the black dress that Kitsune described to me. I didn't think she'd actually catch me off guard. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.